Welcome to this deep dive. Today, we're tackling something
Okay.
you hear about all the time, but maybe not in this way.
Right.
Intelligence. But forget those old IQ tests. We're going way beyond that.
Okay.
You've sent over Howard Gardner's Intelligence Reframed, and honestly,
Yeah.
it's challenged how I think about being smart.
It's amazing how we get stuck on this idea of intelligence
Sure.
as one single thing, right? Like there's a scale and everyone falls somewhere on it. But what if, and stay with me here,
Okay.
our brains are more like a Swiss Army knife? All those tools,
I like that.
useful in different situations.
That's such a great visual, and Gardner isn't coming at this out of nowhere.
Right.
He's a neuropsychologist, so he studied brains in all sorts of conditions, even damage to the brain,
How?
which made him realize, hey, some skills get knocked out while others are totally fine.
Interesting.
What's that? Tell us about how it all works.
Well, it starts poking holes in the idea that there's just one kind of intelligence.
Okay.
Think back to those early IQ tests.
Ah.
They were basically made to see who'd do well in a very specific kind of school system,
Right.
not who was going to be brilliant in life, period.
So it's like if the test was, how well can you climb a tree?
Yeah,
Fish would fail miserably, but that doesn't make them stupid. It's the wrong test.
exactly.
Yeah.
Gardner realized we needed a definition of intelligence that was way more inclusive.
Okay.
He came up with this: a biopsychological potential to process information that can be activated in a cultural setting to solve problems or create products that are of value in a culture.
Okay, there's a lot to unpack there, but what jumps out at me is that it's not just about solving problems, which is what we usually think of with being smart.
Right.
It's also about making stuff,
Yeah.
creating things people value.
And the cultural setting bit is key too.
Yeah.
What's considered smart in one culture might not be in another.
All right.
It's not just about what's in your head, but how you use it in the world.
This is where his theory of multiple intelligences comes in, right?
Yes.
And I know some folks roll their eyes at this, but hear us out.
Oh, absolutely. There's a lot more to it than people realize.
Okay.
So let's say you walk into a museum and you're drawn to this exhibit where you can actually play different musical instruments.
Okay.
You're tapping into what Gardner calls musical intelligence.
That's way more fun than just reading a plaque about music theory.
Right. And maybe in the next room, there's a 3D puzzle you have to solve to unlock a secret door.
Oh.
That's engaging your spatial intelligence.
Okay.
That ability to think in 3 dimensions.
I can already see how this could apply to things like, oh, I don't know, brain surgery.
Exactly. That same spatial intelligence that helps you solve a 3D puzzle is what allows a surgeon to visualize and navigate complex structures in the brain.
Okay, so we're getting glimpses of these different intelligences in action.
Yeah.
But let's zoom out for a sec. You're saying everyone has all of these intelligences to some degree.
Think of it like a fingerprint.
Okay.
No two are exactly alike.
Right.
We each have our own unique profile of strengths and weaknesses across these different areas.
So it's not like you either have it or you don't when it comes to these intelligences. It's more nuanced than that.
Exactly. And that's one of the big myths we need to debunk about Gardner's theory.
Okay.
Just because you have, let's say, strong musical intelligence doesn't mean you're automatically going to be the next Mozart.
Right.
It's about potential, not preset skill you still need to put in the work.
So someone could be walking around with tons of musical potential,
Right.
but if they never pick up an instrument, we'd never know.
Right. It's like a seed that needs the right soil and sunlight to grow. The potential is there, but it needs nurturing and effort to really blossom.
Makes sense. I know another criticism people throw at MI theory is that it's just about labeling things.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I'm good at math because I have logical mathematical intelligence.
Right.
Doesn't that oversimplify things?
It's important to remember that an intelligence isn't the same as a specific subject or skill. It's more like the underlying ability that can be applied in all sorts of different areas. For example, that same logical mathematical intelligence that makes you a whiz at math could also make you a great programmer or a brilliant chess player.
Oh, I see. It's the engine under the hood, not the specific car model.
Perfect analogy. And this is where things get really interesting when we start thinking about the practical applications of MI theory.
Okay, let's dive into those applications. Everyone always talks about how MI can revolutionize education. What does that actually look like?
Well, imagine a classroom where instead of everyone learning the same material in the same way, the teaching is tailored to different strengths.
Okay.
Some kids might learn best through hands-on activities, others through music or storytelling.
So like if you're learning about history, instead of just reading a textbook, you might build a model of a Roman aqueduct or write a song about the American Revolution.
Exactly. And assessments could go beyond just standardized tests. Students could demonstrate their understanding through projects' performances, or even by teaching what they've learned to others.
I wish my school had been like that. It would have made learning so much more engaging.
Yeah.
And you mentioned museums earlier. How can they use MI to create a more interactive experience for visitors?
Museums have this incredible potential to be dynamic learning spaces, but they often get stuck in that traditional mode of just displaying objects with labels next to them.
It's like look but don't touch, which can be pretty boring, especially for kids.
Right. But imagine a history museum where you can actually try on armor from different historical periods, or build a miniature model of an ancient city, or even participate in a mock trial based on a historical event.
That sounds so much more fun.
Yeah.
And it would really bring history to life.
Exactly. Engaging different intelligences makes the learning more active and memorable.
Yeah.
It's not just about absorbing information passively, it's about interacting with it, experiencing it, and making it your own.
And I bet this kind of approach could benefit businesses as well, right? It's not just about being book smart to succeed in the workplace.
Absolutely. Think about it. To build a successful business, you need people with a variety of skills. You need creative thinkers, problem solvers, communicators, collaborators.
So it's not enough to just hire a bunch of people who aced their math exams.
Right. Understanding MI in a business setting can completely change how you build and manage teams.
Okay.
You start to see that everyone brings different strengths to the table, and that diversity of thought is what leads to innovation and success.
This is making me rethink my own team at work. We're definitely missing some key intelligences.
Uh-huh.
Okay, so we've talked about education museums, businesses. It seems like the applications of MI theory are pretty limitless.
They really are. And what excites me most is that it shifts our whole perspective on what it means to be intelligent. It's not about fitting into a narrow box. It's about embracing the incredible range of human potential.
It's like we've spent so much time focusing on what people can't do instead of celebrating what they can do. This is totally blowing my mind.
It really is a shift in perspective, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's about recognizing that intelligence isn't just about being good at academics or solving logic puzzles. It's about how you navigate the world, how you connect with others, how you express yourself.
And, I was thinking about something Gardner said about intelligence being a biopsychological potential.
Yeah.
That word potential really sticks with me. It means there's room for growth,
Right.
for development for all of us.
Absolutely. That's what makes this whole concept so empowering.
Yeah.
It's not saying you're stuck with a certain level of intelligence.
Yeah.
It's saying you have these incredible capacities that can be nurtured and expanded throughout your life.
So it's not about labeling yourself or limiting yourself. It's about discovering your strengths and finding ways to use them to make your mark on the world.
And one thing that really struck me in Gardner's book was his discussion of intelligence fair assessments.
Okay.
He argues that traditional intelligence tests are often culturally biased, favoring certain ways of thinking and knowing that are valued in specific cultures.
So it's like if the test was designed by people who value logic and reasoning above all else, then people who excel in those areas are going to do well, while people who have strengths in other areas, like, say, interpersonal intelligence, might be overlooked.
Exactly. And that's why Gardner suggests we need to move beyond standardized tests and find ways to assess intelligence that are more inclusive and culturally sensitive.
Okay.
He talks about observing how people actually use their intelligence in real-world situations, rather than just relying on abstract test questions.
That makes so much sense. It's like instead of judging a fish by its ability to climb a tree, we need to create an environment where it can swim and show off its natural abilities.
Perfect analogy. And this idea of intelligence fair assessment isn't just about education.
Right.
It can apply to workplaces, to communities, to all sorts of settings.
So it's about creating a world where everyone has the opportunity to shine, regardless of their background or their particular intellectual profile.
Exactly. And, we've talked about a lot of the positive aspects of MI theory, but Gardner also acknowledges that intelligence can be a double-edged sword. It can be used for good or for ill.
That's a really important point. It's like, just because someone is brilliant doesn't mean they're automatically going to use their intelligence ethically or responsibly.
Right. We've seen throughout history how intelligence can be misused or even weaponized.
Wow.
And as we enter this era of rapid technological advancements like artificial intelligence and genetic engineering, it becomes even more crucial to consider the ethical implications of how we understand and utilize intelligence.
It's almost like With great intelligence comes great responsibility. We need to be mindful of how we develop and apply these powerful tools so that they benefit humanity, not harm it.
I could agree more.
Mhm.
Gardner's work challenges us to think deeply about what it means to be intelligent in a world that's constantly evolving.
Yeah.
It's not just about what we know or how
Mm.
quickly we can solve a problem.
Right.
It's about our values, our choices, and our responsibility to use our intelligence wisely and ethically.
This has been such an incredible deep dive. I feel like I'm seeing the world through a whole new lens. Intelligence isn't just this fixed, measurable thing. It's this incredible tapestry of strengths, potentials, and possibilities.
And the most exciting part is that we all have the capacity to contribute to that tapestry by understanding and embracing our own unique intelligences. And by creating a world that values and nurtures diversity of thought, we can unlock a level of creativity, innovation, and human potential that we haven't even begun to imagine.
So much to think about. If this deep dive has sparked your curiosity, we highly encourage you to explore more of Howard Gardner's work.
Yeah.
There's a whole universe of fascinating ideas waiting to be discovered until next time.